A warm welcome to this week's The Leeds Business Podcast with me, Steve Twynham, and
Rudy Hayward.
The Business Podcast is in partnership with
Network B2B
and
Famous Wolf and Rhubarb Radio.
Yeah, who broadcast across the Wakefield district and South Leeds. Every week on the Leeds Business Podcast, we like to share some great social media tips, and it's time for the Famous Wolf Social Media Den.
Yeah.
Rudy, what are we talking about?
So today I wanted to share with our wonderful business audience insights into the world of video and how to use it best on your business social media channels, obviously to educate your audience about your product or services, and by doing so, converting them from leads to customers. So I've been doing a little bit of research to share with you guys today. So according to a survey on, I'm going to try and get my tongue around this one, Wise Owl.
Famous Wolf and Wise Owl.
Yeah. So the survey basically states that 72% of social media users prefer to watch content on social to learn about a product or a service before they make, obviously, their buying decision. This indicates that, obviously, video is a great option for businesses to use to obviously convince their perfect customer base to buy from them. Obviously, what I would recommend is kind of quick, factual videos packed with stats are especially helpful, especially during the convincing stage. Obviously, when we're looking at video content and social media, we're always looking at like the sales funnel and what area they're in. And this type of bite-sized video is designed to obviously capture the viewer's attention. As I said before to you, Steve, as you know, social media, there's a lot of noise on there. So trying to make sure you cut through that noise is really important, and video content's perfect at doing that. However, if you are thinking of hiring some pros to produce engaging video content for your socials, you're still going to need to think about your 60-second storyline. So I wanted to give a few tips today on what those storylines should be and the elements of that.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Steve. So obviously, doing video content on social is just like telling a story. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 3 elements to a story. Have any ideas?
Beginning.
Yeah.
A middle.
Yeah.
And an end.
Perfect. Bravo. So beginning, middle, and an end. However, it's the context of those different 3 elements that really count. So to start with, the beginning is about using a hook. So pay special attention to the first few seconds of the video. You need to open with a hook that obviously instantly captures viewers' attention. You can start with a question or stating a startling fact, or share kind of a message that's going to really pique their interest. Second, obviously, like you said, the middle. That's where you want to really educate the viewer. You want to obviously introduce the concept or the problem, what I like to call the pain point of the situation that specific viewer may be facing. And then off the back of that, you want to introduce the solution to that problem. And I would also say you might want to leave them with a question to ponder on, as well as providing them with a solution, because you want to leave them thinking. Mm-hmm. And then the end is obviously the call to action. And the call to action is just important as the hook, because obviously that's the point where you want to really be able to drive them through to your website, or whether it's an e-commerce website to purchase from you, or whether, it's about driving telephone calls or web inquiries, or if you're a hotel to push bookings, that sort of thing. So the call to action is just as important, and making sure that it's really clear and concise. Mm-hmm. And straight to the point.
Rudy, how long should this be again, this video? Really?
Videos on social, Specifically, I would say around 60 seconds.
Okay.
If you're doing long form video, say for instance on Instagram TV, IGTV, you can get away with longer. But it just depends on where you're at in the sales funnel. If you're in the process of kind of educating your audience, then you can get away with longer form video. And so you know, I would say you can get away with about 3 minutes on IGTV.
Okay.
And on YouTube, obviously, you can get away with longer. I would say if you're going to produce video on YouTube, and I think Alex, just in the background there, will agree with me, with YouTube content, if you're trying to develop as subscribers, make sure that you don't go too off relevancy. People have obviously signed up to your subscription for specific type of content. Try not to go too off book with that.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, there are different kind of time elements, but I would definitely stick to if you're doing video on Facebook or on Facebook or LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Facebook has to be about a minute long, no more or no less, because people's attention span wow, it's so bad now, Steve. Like in the 80s, people's attention span was 20 minutes. Do you know what it is now?
Seconds, probably.
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
And, you know, that's less than a goldfish. And, you know, it's not great, is it? But in terms of, I don't know what really that says about us as a human race. But, yeah, so, you know, And you know, you've got less time to grab their attention on social media as well.
So going back to what you started about, so the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't grab that attention in that first 8 seconds, you're stuffed.
Yeah.
You're stuffed.
100%.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's why, you know, creating video content that's really engaging is so important. And, you know, there are 2 different forms of video. There's, you know, your raw guerrilla video where you're literally doing it straight from your phone. And that works on Instagram, where you might be doing kind of really quick to the camera, just thought about this, and it goes on to your Instagram story. Same for Facebook stories as well. But when you're really wanting to get that message across, I would always invest in proper you know, video content, proper professionals that can actually come in and produce proper video content.
Some great tips there then, really, for people to think about. I've learned something. What, Instagram TV? I never even knew there was such a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. YouTube, yes, I know that. For Alex has educated me on YouTube on many times before. Yeah. Whether I've learnt the lesson or not, it's a different thing, but he has done his bit and helped me. But yeah, so you didn't realise that these different sort of mediums were there to post. So you could just, again, thinking about your audience, just thinking about your length of your video, what you want. And I love that bit about, it's a bit about clarity, isn't there? There's a bit about clarity in that message. Yeah. You know, of what you're about and staying on message. Going back to your YouTube discussion there. Yeah. Staying on message so people can actually know what you're about.
Absolutely.
It's that authenticity again.
Yeah, but also on top of that, one of the main things that I think I see business owners, you know, the mistake they make is they sell too soon. And I think, you know, one of the main things that they need to really concentrate on is adding value. You know, I think the last podcast we did, I mentioned, you know, the whole dating situation. If you went on a date with someone for the first time, you're not going to ask them to marry you on the first date, right?
Yeah.
Well,
some people might,
but I don't know if you'll get any. Yes. Yeah. Be a bit worried if you did, but yeah, obviously it's all about you know, dating that person, getting to know them, and it's exactly the same when you're trying to engage people on social to then buy from you as a service or a product. You want to provide them with added value so that they can trust you, and it's all about brand now, trusting your brand and kudos before they purchase.
Okay, so we've talked about video. Can I just raise one thing with you as well?
Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, because I've been posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. And somebody contacted me and said, Steve, your pictures look a little bit fuzzy, was the word. Okay. I don't think you're using the right resolution or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I didn't realise there was different things. Well, so when you're posting on social media, there's different aspects apparently.
Yeah, so there's different aspect ratios depending on the platform that you post on. So the way I like to explain it to business owners is on Facebook and LinkedIn, make sure that it's landscape, whereas on Instagram, you've got a little bit more flexibility, but I try to make sure that the images are kind of in portrait, especially if you're going to do video as well, because video on IGTV is in portrait rather than landscape. But yeah, in terms of aspect ratios, there's lots of different types of aspect ratios, and again, that's why it can be a bit of a minefield for people that are starting out on social.
And can people find out about these things? Do Facebook tell you this somewhere?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook do tell you. There are, especially if you're running ad campaigns in the back there is a list of different aspect ratios that you can use. If you're using scheduling tools as well, which some businesses are a bit more advanced and are using scheduling tools to schedule their social media, they kind of pretty much tell you word for word what type of aspect, and sometimes they even amend the image for you. But one tip that I would just say to business owners, because it's something that cropped up not so long back, and we business contacted us and said that they wanted us to take over their social media for them because they've been doing it themselves, but what they've been doing is scraping images off Google and then using the images in their posts and in their blogs. And Chris will know all about this, won't you, Chris? And on the world of pain they could inflict on themselves because it's illegal, especially, obviously, if those individuals that have taken the original footage, photography, or created the original creative, find out that you're using their content on your social media pages or in your blogs, they can fine you. So don't do it, guys.
Don't do it.
Create your own content. Take your own images. If you feel that it's absolutely 100% necessary that you need to use Shutterstock images, please make sure that you buy them. Don't scrape them off Google.
Don't scrape them off Google. Well, there we are. Some more great tips about social media from the famous wolf, Social Media Den. Now, on the Leeds Business Podcast, we love to bring you great guests. And today we are joined in the studio by Chris Allen from Blacks Solicitors. How are you, Chris?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me. I'm humbled to be here.
It's great to have you along. We look forward to finding out a lot more about, Blacks in a few moments. But tell us a little bit about Chris first, because I notice you are recognised as a leader in the legal industry. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, about me. Bradfordian, born in Bradford, trained as educated in Bradford and trained as a solicitor in Bradford. Did what many people do, went off to university in different cities, etc., and law school. Ultimately returned to Bradford, trained in Bradford, and moved to Leeds, a newly qualified solicitor in 1994, and had a reasonably rapid rise up through the ranks, joined Blacks Solicitors, became an equity partner in 1997 and became the managing partner in 2008, just as, of course, the economic difficulties were arising. So it was good timing.
Good timing, yes. Yeah, life's all about timing, as they say, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. But you've gone from strength to strength, though, Chris, from that time?
Yeah, I think if you look at the firm as a whole over 30 years, of which I've only contributed to it 25, but if you look at it as a whole, yeah, sure, the firm's doing well. We're in Leeds. I'll be honest with you. We're in the middle of a huge landmass full of people, full of businesses. There's no sea. There's no huge lakes. Yeah. There's no huge. We haven't got the Peak District or the Yorkshire Dales. We've got lots and lots of people to go at. It is a busy area. We should be busy. You want it to be, and we are. So that's a lovely starting block for any business. I'll be honest with you. I think.
Chris, would you say with it being so busy and with businesses, obviously. Venturing into Leeds, do you think Leeds is going to become kind of like the new business capital of the UK?
I would say the trend is that's where it's going. Yeah. I would say if you go back 40 years, 50 years, what happened? I think one of the things that really happened is the Clean Air Act. I think the Clean Air Act involved the cities and towns of this country being tidied up. I think somebody somewhere down the line tidied up Leeds city centre. If you look at the old books and the old picture of Leeds, it didn't always look that cracky. I know people harp back about the good old days. Try living in Leeds in the 1950s. I don't think it was so clever.
You know what, Chris? You've just reminded me, because I went to the, is it the Thackeray Museum?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you look at Leeds going back not that far,
Yeah.
right, it was a totally different place, wasn't it? Just
Yeah,
picking up on your
totally.
point there. Yeah.
And I suppose what you've had happen was the business in Leeds, because it pulls in business really from surrounding cities and towns, Bradford, Harrogate, Wakefield, Halifax, Huddersfield. Not all of the business, obviously, but some bits.
Yeah.
It is that epicentre, isn't it? And it's done well. The legal industry, for example, used to be that Bradford people went to Bradford firms and Leeds people went to Leeds firms, and I think that changed with the Stanley bypass, to be honest with you. And I think that generally
The Stanley-
and you know some of the big law firms in Leeds are Bradford firms. Walker Morris, Scott and Turnbull is Walker Morris.
Okay.
What is now Squire Patton Boggs used to be, Hammond Suddowns. So it does have that pull in the same way London has that pull, doesn't it, down south?
Yeah.
I think it's heading in that direction. But I do think the city of Leeds has done a lot to help itself, and it's gathered this momentum. In the 25 years I've been there, it's a very different place.
Yeah.
And how have things changed in the legal world then? Because there's lots of online things and challenges. Has it been? How have you embraced that time?
Well, let's put it like this. When I tell the work experience students, because we always have a couple of students every week, that when I started at Blacks in 1994, I didn't have a computer. They can't process that. And of course, what immediately follows is the question, what did you do all day? And the answer is, I did a lot of this, and for the listeners, I'm pretending I'm holding a phone.
Yes.
I spoke to a lot of people.
Right.
So what has happened is the pace of life has increased, hasn't it? In the olden days, 1994, I would send a document to you, Steve. I'd mend it, I'd post it to you today, you'd get it tomorrow, you'd amend it, you'd get it back to me. So if that was Monday, I wouldn't hear from you till Wednesday.
Right,
now,
okay.
the reality of life is I now amend that document, I email it to you at 10 o'clock this morning, you look at that and you respond by 11 o'clock. The difficulty with that, I mean, there's many, many advantages of that, isn't it? It's brilliant, really. The disadvantage of that in the legal world is sometimes you need to stop and think about things. You need to think about strategy. You need to check that documentation is correct. And we've got to be careful we don't end up with a nation of workers who are very good at tapping on the keys but not very good at talking to people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's so powerful actually when you think about
Absolutely.
that. And I guess also, Chris, it's about making sure the document goes to the right person, isn't it?
Well, we have a little thing at the office called ATD, attention to detail.
Right, yeah.
And small things like, can we get your name right, your address right, put the right attachment and actually send it to the right person is a big
Yeah.
thing. It is a big thing, though.
Yeah.
Because you know the score. You can only have to press one button on that thing and this whole podcast is destroyed.
It's finished.
And gone.
Yes.
We'll all be starting again, won't we? So that I would say to you, that's the big thing. Of course, laws change all the time. If you look at talking about laws in themselves, just look at employment law. Forget everything else. Just look at employment law. Look at the rights that people have, the maternity rights, paternity rights, shared, these are all good things.
And there's no
but they're a challenge to business owners because if you have 20 staff and 5 are on maternity leave, it is a challenge. It's right that there are these rights and there are, but it is a challenge to business. And I think most people don't really protest about the legislation, but they do question: is there much support from government for the smaller businesses?
Right. Okay. And as a firm, I understand you cover a wide range of sort of legal.
Services.
Legal
sure.
services, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So we do all the things I suppose a business person or a business owner would expect. We buy and sell businesses. We do commercial property. We buy and sell houses. We do employment law. And we do private client services, so family, God forbid, family law services and wills and probate and trusts. So we don't do crime. We don't do offshore, international freight shifting, Yeah, we're not doing that.
You're not doing that, no.
We're not doing that. But I know somebody who does.
But I tell you what, Rudy and I were really interested in, because there's this sports angle.
Yeah, we hear through the grapevine that you're a bit of a sports fan, and obviously Leeds being heavily involved in obviously football and rugby.
Yes.
And obviously we're quite aware that sports law has started to become quite popular, would you say?
Yeah, I would say about 10 years ago, I was looking to, I suppose, raise the profile of the firm. And you can do that a number of ways, as Rudy could give you real, professional advice on that. Branding, we did that. We engaged with social media early, long before many other firms. But I had an opportunity to effectively develop a small sports law team. And that's been good and fun, and it generates some work, and it's very interesting work. It isn't hugely profitable work in this neck of the woods. We're not surrounded by, yet, professional, Premier League football teams, really.
Will you ever be? Let's not go
there.
Well,
I think we will actually, but we're not. So, but the work's interesting. But what's been amazing, again, from a business perspective is, if we three went out into Leeds for lunch to celebrate our new friendship, I can almost guarantee that if two people come up to us at the table, one of them will say, "Hey, Chris, how's that sports law thing going?"
Right.
So
Okay.
in terms of raising the profile, it's been terrific. Is it interesting? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. Is it? A lot of it is commercial law.
Okay.
Sponsorship deals, contracts, relationship with agents.
I
It isn't really it isn't a dark art.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. What kind of things does it cover? Because I'm just thinking, what kind of liability does a club have towards its players, for example?
Oh well, I mean, it's no different to what responsibility does an employer have to the staff when we all pile out for the Christmas do. It's all these angles.
Yes.
Some of it is related to employment law. So I was down at Wembley not that long ago representing somebody at an FA disciplinary hearing. Well, really, it's almost an employment law process.
Okay.
Really, it's a regulatory process. Obviously, involved a lot of grovelling, which hour and a half of grovelling and a good hiding. That was generally how that panned out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So where? How do you see things developing over the next few years then?
Well, this is great. And again, I would say this is a question that any business owner can ask themselves. Sit down, stop the clock, and say to yourselves, because somebody did this with me recently. Where do you think the processes that you deal with will be in 2 years? And where do you think client expectations will be in 2 years? So you sit there and you think, all right, you have a good think about that, don't you?
Yes, you do.
And the follow-up question is, that's great, Steve. Now, where do you think the work processes you do will be in 10 years? And where do you think client expectations will be in 10 years?
Wow.
And think about the next generation of people coming up. We've got Henry Allen sat over there, haven't we, in the background?
Yes, we have.
What is his, how will he want to deal with a solicitor in 10 years' time when he's buying his first property? Yeah. Will he really want to come into the office and meet the solicitor? Probably not. Will he want to fill the details in on his phone? Yep. So has the solicitor got the technology to deal with that safely, securely? And people are on this now. There's a movement, the Leeds Tech movement. Leeds City Council are trying to get the law firms in Leeds to cooperate with one another now.
Yeah, right, okay.
Quite rightly. We're probably 5 years behind the curve already.
You'll be probably in through a chat room with algorithms, won't you?
Yeah. Well, but then the question is, what do you need at the end of that portal? Do you need a solicitor? Or do you just need a clever person who doesn't? So where's the legal profession going?
Wow, some great questions.
When it comes to that sort of work.
Yeah.
But these are questions every business should ask. 'Cause if you're not asking that question, then you're resting on your laurels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Because if you think the pace of change, which I think is where we started, Steve, the pace of change where we started 25 years ago to now, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Compared to the previous 50 years.
Absolutely. It's something that I'm having to educate businesses on all the time. Always needing to make sure that you're always stepping ahead of the game.
And the fear is this, Rudy. We don't, in terms of IT, if you want to call it that, or tech investment, perhaps the correct method, we don't want to back the wrong horse. We're a law firm. We turn over 12, 13 million pounds. We'll make £1.5 to £2 million profit to split between the partners. Great, lovely. Everybody earns a very decent living for working in a nice place with nice people, representing, on the whole, very nice, good businesses and nice people.
Yeah.
We can't really afford to blow £1 million a year on the wrong tech.
No. Yeah.
But then the fear factor is you do nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is why you've got to We've all got to start, and this is why, to be absolutely fair credit to Leeds City Council here, and Tom Roden, I think in particular, because they have said, you law firms need to start talking to your competitors, because actually us all outdoing each other on tech isn't really great for the industry. What we should have is a method that works for everybody. And I know, nobody's going to give their trade secrets up.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of sense in it, really, because we're all facing that same threat I've just talked about.
You've just got me thinking there. I've just got this vision now where we've got all these law firms spending all this money on tech, and they're all spending it in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Or not at all.
Or not at all.
Or not at all.
What a nightmare. And Rudy, you often talk about complacency just in retail. It looks like the major retailers that they've disappeared because they've not thought about...
Huge businesses, household names have just gone bust simply because they've not taken had a social first strategy, or had a conscious effort to make sure that they adapt with the changing markets. We've got, like I said, I think the stat last time was, TV viewers went down in 2019 by 53%, and social media viewers went up by 71%. People aren't watching TV adverts anymore, yet there's these huge brands that are still spending, billions on TV ads, and it's just wasted. But it's because of the fear of not knowing what to do, or because there's these huge digital marketing agencies that are a jack of all trades, a master of none, that don't really know what they're doing, which then burn the businesses, and then they don't know where they stand, and then it stops them from moving forward. So it's not a very nice cycle.
And there's one other factor that we've all got to be realistic about. There are certain people at the top of the tree who don't care where the business will be in 10 years, because they have absolutely no intention of being there in 10 years there, Steve. Wow. They want to get out in 4 years' time with maximum amount of money. And the good way of doing that is not to spend any money on recruiting staff, investing in training, investing in tech, and developing. And that's the challenge for every managing partner, let alone law firms, accountancy practice, financial advisors, every company. Because if in their heart of hearts, and this I think is the reality, if in their heart of hearts they're not thinking 10 years ahead, they need to step down and let somebody step up who will be looking 10 years ahead.
100%.
And I've said this to my partners. The day I stop thinking about the good of Blacks Solicitors LLP, I have a phrase that says, everything I do is for the good of Blacks Solicitors LLP. If everything was for the good of Chris Allen, I would not have recruited 15 lawyers last year, because 15 lawyers are very expensive.
Yes, yeah.
I would have sat there with my previous number of staff and thought, they're all right. We'll just work what we got. It's fine. Profit margins are good. I'm happy.
But Chris, isn't that, I think, from a demonstration there, what you've been talking about, is that not a massive difference between somebody who manages and somebody who leads?
Yes.
Massive difference.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's also a matter of integrity as well, Steve.
Values.
And it's values and integrity, and it's about being honest when you know that you're not really pulling your weight like you used to do.
Yeah.
And business owners and leaders, need to be honest.
Wow, that's a powerful way.
Yeah. Obviously, we both know that in the media, in the larger media, they don't always like to perceive solicitors in a good light. And however, Blacks have managed to really successfully overcome anything like that. And how would you say that? Was there a strategy behind that? Is there how have you done that in today's society so successfully?
I think we set off, if you sort of indulge me, you're back in time. I remember handing out an old brochure of ours to somebody, and the chap said to me, and this was the start part of all this stuff, "Oh, thanks for your brochure, Chris." I said, "Oh, thanks." He said, "I liked it." I said, "Oh, thanks very much." He says, "No, I like the feel of it. The contents are rubbish." I said, "I beg your pardon?" He said, "Absolutely boring, rubbish. You're all looking miserable, and what you do? Why are you looking miserable?" He said, "You've now just given me something that doesn't reflect your firm? Why have you done that? And I said, because I thought I had to.
Wow, yeah.
And so I did a new brochure. I did exactly what you'd have said, Rudy, I'm sure, which is go speak to an expert. and Nick Entwistle, who's a good lad, came and said, yeah, that's rubbish, Chris. And he came up with a brochure that simply had a picture of 8 members of staff in. And I used to give those brochures out, and everybody said, and it felt the same, I might add. So I got that bit right. And everybody said the same thing. Oh, that's nice. You seem very approachable. And so we really went on that route. Yeah. Now the truth is this: so much of work comes from referral of work. Yes, of course I can advertise, I can be on social media, and I can raise awareness. Don't get me wrong, I'm very, very comfortable that everything we've done in terms of raising awareness of the firm has been, on the whole, positive and a good step. But you know, you can have the greatest brand in the world, can't you? But if you don't deliver the service behind it, then it's just a right load of rubbish. And that's why we have the 4-hour callback guarantee. That's why we have the drive on attention to detail. Yeah. That's why we have active networking. That's why we're in networking groups. That's why, you know, I meet you, Rudy, at that event, and we follow up. Yeah. I don't just say, oh, he was a nice guy, and I'll just pretend I never met him. Yeah. You know, you've got to put the effort in. You've got to, and I think that's the reality. Yeah. Some people don't like lawyers. Then, well, they're wary of them, aren't they? Because they were brought up with people saying they're really, really expensive. And so, you know, and the truth is this, isn't it? If I say to you, yes, I can help you with that, and it's £300 an hour, you know, that is expensive, isn't it? And by the time I say, yes, but I've been in this game 30 years, Rudy, and I've done this, and of course you can't get over the 300 quid, you know, you don't care.
That's what you're focusing on.
That's right.
What you're focusing. Just going back to what you're saying there about the brochure, because I think an interesting thing, and we talk about it on the podcast quite a lot, right? Yeah. You know, when you gave that first brochure out, and it was nice, touchy-feely, but everybody looked boring, or the brochure was boring. It's about mirroring the culture of the organisation, isn't it? So what I just took from that is the guy saying, look, this is not reflecting you. No. So, and again, in social media, it needs to reflect you, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely, Steve. At the end of the day, like I said, you know, the marketing hasn't changed as such. The bare bones of it hasn't changed. All that's happened is that the forms of media that we use have changed. So, you know, representing yourself the way that you want to be perceived, whether it's through a brochure, print brochure, back in 1994, was it? To now, which is on social media, it's exactly the same thing. You want to present yourself as a leader in your industry, but at the same time, you want to be approachable. And I think the only difference is now is that you can target that exact audience rather than handing out leaflets and seeing throwing as much out there and seeing what sticks. You can target now, so it's
and you've also got one eye on what, you know, the client looks at my brochure, doesn't he or she, and says, yeah, what's in it for me?
Yes,
what's in it for me?
Yeah,
because that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was chatting to, if you had Craig McHugh here from Winning a Million charity, Craig always tells this tale that he came to see me. He's got a fantastic charity. He and Wayne Jacobs and the team there are doing amazing things in inner city Bradford. And he came to me and he said, could you support us on this and support us on this and do this and help us with all these honourable things we're doing? I said, yeah, absolutely, Craig. What's in it for me, mate? And he said, don't know. What do you mean? I said, you got businesses, they want to know what's in it for them.
Yes.
A client of Blacks Solicitors wants to know what. This is all fine. All this boring old brochure we had. Yeah, fine, your terms and conditions. I'm not bothered. What's in it for me? The answer is you want to hear great service. You know, we'll look after you. You know, you probably want the family lawyers to look mean, the litigators to look mean, but you want everybody else to look like you can get on with them. Yeah. You will not be too surprised here. That might be where I'm going with my next bit of marketing.
I could see, I've just got what a great photo shoot that's going to be. You need to look mean. Get in there. Awesome. Fantastic. So,
I'm always happy to share some thoughts.
It's great to hear the story, and I think it's amazing. Wish you all the success in the future as you're looking at those next 10 years.
Yes, and the rest.
And the rest. And Henry's in the corner here. It might be his.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Are you looking at that, Henry? It might be yours, mate. Sitting over the dinner table. What are you going to do in 10 years' time, Henry? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the Leeds Business Podcast.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Once again, we're going to be back in, about a fortnight's time as well?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, looking forward to some more inspirational guests joining us on the Leeds Business Podcast.
Yeah, we've got a few in the pipeline for the next couple of weeks, and stay tuned and stay busy.
And we'll have more tips from the famous Wolf social media then.
You will.
Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye.